In the know, non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Yeah, it's game day. It is game day, gentlemen. Thursday night football. Declan and I were talking before the show here that we've got all these other NFL themes, like the Sunday night football theme. You know, we've got the... This is a good one.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
That's a really
it's
good
time
one.
for some football. I don't know the Amazon one in my head yet. It's like, it's too new. So
I just went back and listened to it right before we started the scoop session with Doogie, and I somewhat remember it, but it's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's not a household theme yet.
Not a household theme yet. Yeah.
It's not like the chimes.
What's the last bad football theme? Has there been one? I feel like there hasn't been one that's been like, ooh, that's a clunker.
I think the one that's the least descript, and I don't have it on here right now, is probably the current the NFL on CBS one, because they changed it from the old one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, and I love the old one. The really old one was great.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's like the NFL.
70.
Well, there's two. There's the 70s one, and then there was the like early 90s one.
Oh, right.
I feel like too.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the 70s NFL on CBS pregame show with Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, and Jimmy the Greek.
I had a friend who worked for the NFL side on CBS Sports, and I asked him, I was like, how hard was it to try to get one of the CBS Sports jackets? Because I would wear that. And he was like, yeah, it's difficult. Like, you got to be a talent. They don't just give them out. It's not as easy as it is. Just like, I was like, you couldn't just like go to the wardrobe rack, 'cause there's probably some hanging. He's like, no, they don't exist. Trust me, I've looked.
They would do it
like 80 of them.
Well, Matt Ryan got his, right? Because Matt Ryan did the Vikings game, and they even made a comment like, yeah, Matt, you look good in that CBS sport coat. They should do a Jim Nantz presentation every year for the new, like the former player who comes in, retired, and now he's gonna be a broadcaster, and they should do it like the Masters, the cabin, right, where they're all sitting
Butler
around.
Cabin, where he
the
gives
Butler
them the-
cabin. There's a fireplace in the background.
It's my pleasure. It's my honor to bestow this CBS jacket from CBS.
It's just dead silent and awkward. So, anyways, we're going to hit you guys, even though the Vikings play tonight, we're going to keep this sort of broad so that it has meaning maybe beyond the game tonight. We're going to hit you with an abbreviated State of the Offense episode and a random Viking of the Week here, presented by our friends at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Learn more at TCL.com. And, Judd, if you could shout out our friends, too, at Minnesota Lottery with that Vikings scratch game ticket that you guys should be getting your paws on.
The Vikings might not win, but they can help you win
negative.
each and every day. No, I'm just saying, in life, we like to win stuff, right? Well, the new Vikings Lottery scratch game is the official scratch game of the team, of course, and you could win up to $100,000 or second chance prizes, including, get this, season tickets or an away game trip. That's officially exciting. Minnesota Lottery, just say I'm in, must be 18 or older to play. Again, $100,000. So, you know what? Take your chances, because if you win, you're going to be very, very happy.
All right, let's ordinarily we're going to do like longer discussions about the state of the offense and sort of where they rank and maybe a deep dive into Kirk Cousins. We're going to skim past some of this because, again, they play again tonight. And we're gonna sink our teeth into something more broad. But just for starters here, where does the Vikings offense rank after week 1? Well, points per game, 20th. Yards per play, 2nd. Got to close that gap. Marching up and down the field, stupid turnovers. If you score a touchdown on that goal line interception, all of a sudden now you're 24 points per game instead of 17 points per game, right?
Yep.
Let's see here. DVOA. So these are now analytical sort of process rankings. DVOA, they were 21st. And then expected points added, they were 13th. So kind of all over the place after the first week. State of Kirk Cousins, real quick. Passer rating, he was 8th. QBR, he was 14th. PFF had him as the 15th graded quarterback in week 1. And EPA, expected points added, he was 8th as well. He was the 9th least pressured quarterback in week 1, so he didn't face a ton of pressure relative to the league. So we can get into maybe some of that stuff more in depth after the second game. But what I want to dive into with you guys is the new look Vikings offense from a personnel standpoint. We now have the data from week 1, and it's really fascinating. This is what Judd had been kind of hinting at throughout Judd's camp notes, August training camp. So first down personnel is a great baseline for sort of what is your base state as an offense. Because if you start to mix in everything else, if teams are spending a lot of time in third and long, they're probably going to have more receivers on the field. If you're spending a lot of time in the red zone, like, what do you do on first down? Because first down is a blank canvas for you to do whatever you want, put whatever personnel you want on the field, right? Last season, the Vikings ran mostly 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end on first down. They were they were like the 5th or 6th heaviest in terms of using 11 personnel on first down in the entire NFL, which is what the Rams do. The Rams are just like 80 to 90% of the time, first down, any down. Just have 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. That's where Kevin O'Connell came from under Sean McVay. So 64% 11 personnel in 2022 on first down. Week 1, it was 66% heavier personnel. All right.
Football.
So stick with me here, okay? So they used an extra running back, so either 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, or 3 tight ends. If you add all of those snaps up on first down, it was about 66, 2/3 of their first downs. They had bigger bodies or a non-wide receiver in the game in one of those skill position player slots. So why does that matter? Well, if you look right now in the NFL, and I'll just use week 1 samples with a smattering of like the trends from last year. The 49ers and the Dolphins, for example, I think are 2 of the more, like right now, innovative, hard to stop offenses. In fact, if you go off like yards per play and points per game, they were just like the 2, them and the Cowboys. The Cowboys had a couple non-offensive touchdowns too, though, didn't they? So Dolphins, Niners, unstoppable machines right now offensively. Those teams run a ton of heavier personnel packages. Shanahan with the Niners, and then Mike McDaniel coming over kind of from the same tree, right? So the Dolphins, for instance, the Dolphins in week 1 and the Niners in week 1 had 63 and 71% 21 personnel, which is 2 running backs and then 2 receivers and a tight end. So they love having, and by the way, for the Niners, it's a fullback. It's Juszczyk, who's usually in the game.
Yes.
So I don't know. That's a lot of information for you guys, but the Vikings are trying to mirror in terms of just replacing a receiver with a heavier body or a running back.
Yes.
They're trying to mirror more what the Niners and the Dolphins are doing offensively. And it worked from a yardage standpoint. We'll see if it works from a scoring standpoint and whatever else.
So I'm not surprised because, as we talked about in training camp, we certainly saw this. So it's not like they weren't actively working on this. And the fact that they brought in Josh Oliver as one of their 2 sort of marquee free agent signings was a very clear sign that they were going to go in this direction. The one thing in week 1 I saw, though, is, and this goes to your point, Phil, Juszczyk in that role in San Francisco is pretty doggone good. Putting that on C.J. Ham's plate, to me, is too much for C.J. Ham. And so I guess my question is, because the Oliver signing, I think, paid off. Like, I think this guy can play. And I'm not saying C.J. Ham can't play, but I am saying if you're going to rely on him as much as the Vikings did on Sunday, I don't know that you shouldn't have upgraded that spot. So that's,
how many of those like hybrid backs are even out? It would almost have to be a converted tight end or something, right?
Yeah, but I mean, C.J. Ham works his ass off, and he's good on special teams, and I think in the offense he can have a role. But it looked like on Sunday that role had been expanded by quite a bit, and I just don't know that he has the ability or talents to be playing that much. And yes, in fact, I think if you go back and look at this, one of the first, and I might be wrong here, but I believe one of the first instances where we saw what you're talking about, which is you sort of take a tight end and convert him into what they called an H-back, with Jim Kleinsasser.
Yeah.
And Jim Kleinsasser in that role was damn good. But he was a better player than Ham is. So I like what they're doing. I like the ideas. I don't know that the personnel is across the board, especially if Ham is going to play it that much, fits what they want to do from a talent standpoint.
So real quick, what the Dolphins did, because I was wondering who is the Dolphins run two running back sets more than any team except the 49ers. Like, who are they putting out there? Because it's not two running backs. Usually 21 would be a running back and a fullback, right? So, and I don't watch every second of Dolphins football. And when I do, you're usually watching those cheetah wide receivers and Tua, right? And, Mike McDaniel's vaping on the sideline.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
They
That's what I like
have
to watch.
the Dolphins have a former Wisconsin Badgers fullback, and he actually was, I believe he was an undrafted free agent signed by the Raiders out of college. He's a fullback named Alec Ingold, 6'1", 235 pounds. He played 30 snaps in week 1 in largely 21 personnel for the Dolphins. He is their CJ Ham.
Okay.
And what's funny is with the Raiders, his first 3 years in the league with the Raiders, he was playing he played 200 snaps the first season. He played 135 snaps in 2021. And then the Dolphins come in, hire a new coaching staff. We're gonna run some Shanahan stuff here, and he all of a sudden doubles and triples his snap counts from the previous 2 years. They just found a guy. There's not that many guys who are 6'1" bowling balls who are big enough. They're bigger than running backs, right? They're 230, 235 pounds that you would trust to play 30 snaps in an NFL game in 2023. But the Dolphins have one. The Niners have one. The Vikings are trying to see if they have one in CJ Ham right now.
So when they document the personnel formations for San Francisco, how do they document Deebo Samuel when he lines up in the backfield?
That's a great question.
Can you tell?
I don't know if they classify that. I think if he's lined up in the backfield, he would technically be a running back on the play.
Correct. Yep. It's like Cordell.
Even though he's a receiver on the field. It's kind of semantics, right? So
Right.
maybe that's part of their classification.
But it's where he is that's important.
But do the Vikings
To us.
have anyone in their wide receiver group right now that you would say, yeah, line that guy up as a potential running back in the backfield?
Not
you've seen
consistently.
Jefferson back there a couple times, but he's
not consistently.
yeah. Brandon Powell? He's got some bowling ball tendency to him, right?
No, in fact, if I was going to take Ham out and take a second bite at the apple on this, I would probably be inclined to play Hawkinson, Munt, and Oliver, and line either Munt or Oliver up in the backfield. But in training camp they did not, so I fully expect that that's not a possibility.
And for the record, okay, let's on this the Alec Ingold front. So he played about 40% of offensive snaps for a high-powered Dolphins offense last year, and he played about half of their snaps in week 1. So he's a huge part of their equation, and he doesn't touch the ball very often. So last year, he's out there all that. That's kind of Kleinsasser back in the day. He was out there all the time, but he 100%. Rarely touched the ball, right? Yes. He was a threat to touch the ball, so you had to sort of account for him, but he was mostly out there to either take up a body in a matchup or block.
Yep.
Last year, Alec Ingold, again, he was out there for 40% of the offensive snaps. He only caught 15 passes and only ran the ball 6 times for 8 yards. But he's a threat, and he makes you have to do different things the way that you line up defensively. Can CJ Ham have kind of a silent impact in this offense? We saw them trying in week 1, but we probably need to see more of a sample.
Small sample size here, but what was Ingold's PFF grade in week 1? Because we know from Judd guesses the PFF grades that Ham's was not good.
Yeah, it was not very good. It was 57 out of 100. He got dinged largely in the run blocking game. He just had traditionally he's a pretty good run blocking fullback, but he had a bad game as a run blocker in this first game. So
problem.
And the usage with CJ Ham is also, especially going into this Philly game, and we'll see what happens long term with the state of Bradbury and maybe even the state of Darisaw. They need him to block now. If we were surprised he was in that much just for week 1, he's probably going to exceed, if not play the same amount of snaps in week 2 and or going forward if there's offensive line trouble, because he has to block. I mean, Madison, even on that, was it the first series against the Bucks where he just said screw it and didn't even try to block it incoming. I don't know if it was Winfield or someone just came right off the edge, and Madison said nope, and Kirk just takes a huge hit. Like, Ham's going to be out there not because of being even a great little maybe decoy. He's going to be out there to block, and I really don't know if he's even that good at that job either.
The one thing that concerns me, though, and I think we touched on this briefly yesterday, the one thing that really worries me about a guy like Ham is the safety blanket for Kirk. Because if Kirk can check it down at times, he will. And I don't want, and to Declan's point, I really don't want the ball in Ham's hands. And Kirk, if he panics, will check it down to Ham, and you'll get, 2 yards, or you'll lose a yard.
That's the thing. Like, and I'm not going to pretend to. It would be great to. This would be a great Alex Boone conversation for our Monday trenches session, because it's hard for us to sit here and break down like the silent impact of an extra fullback on the field, right?
Right.
But you can't use CJ Ham as a weapon, really. And you're right about that. Sometimes I feel like sometimes Kirk just sees. He sees like routes on a tree and weapons and doesn't necessarily account for, KJ Osborne, there's certain things he can't do that Justin Jefferson can. Or TJ Hawkinson probably isn't breaking that tackle on 4th and 8, but it's a route on a tree and it's the correct move. So if CJ Ham being out there becomes a guy that Kirk is trying to get the ball to, he's not a guy that should be touching the ball like 4 or 5 times a game, right? But if he's out there and he can help steal an edge, or he can help free something up, or provide some deception somewhere, so real quick here, CJ Ham, this is what I worry about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In his career, first of all, he's a little older, right? Like, CJ Ham, this is his 7th year in the NFL. He's over the age of 30.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about like a 27, 28-year-old. He's actually on the edge of the age curve too. So his highest run blocking grade, according to PFF, in any season is 63 out of 100 in 2020. Here are his run blocking grades on a 0 to 100 scale: 50, 48, 57, 63, 61, 44, and then 50 in week 1. So he's not a weapon that's going to catch a bunch of passes. He should not be a guy that's touching the ball more than maybe once a game or twice a game in certain situations. But then when he's being asked to block in the run game, he's not that great at that either. So I think, Judd, your instinct seems right, that they're trying to do something that San Francisco and Miami are doing, but they just don't have the guy that those teams have to make it happen. At least it appears that way.
Right. And I like the fundamental philosophical change, but you've got to be right about this, like from a personnel standpoint too. So, and I, again, if CJ Ham had a different quarterback who processed things a little bit more, perhaps, and he was just never going to get the ball, or he'd get the ball, once in a while. But I fear the more, and to a certain point, and I don't like this at all, TJ Hawkinson has become this guy.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're just like, Kirk, the ball has to go downfield. By the way, did you guys go back and watch the Osborne pick more? Because I went back last night and watched
I've watched it about 25 times, I think. Yes.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I keep saying John Juszczyk. It's Kyle Juszczyk. There was a Packers fullback back in the day.
You're forgiven.
Okay,
I've got the same problem. I've got the same problem.
Who was that Packers fullback? Like John? No, I'm thinking John Kuhn.
John Kuhn.
It is funny how like all fullbacks feels like either come from the Midwest or a Big Ten school. Like it feels like that is where they come from.
Every one of them should be named Mike Allstat, because Mike Allstat, first of all, that's a great fullback name, and he had the neck roll. Mike Allstat was like, because he's from Purdue and he just likes to get in your face, and he was actually really good. But I went back and watched that about 5 times last night. Man, you can blame KJ all you want for, his hands were on the ball, but my God, one is Kirk was right. Jordan Addison wouldn't have scored, and KJ Osborne might not have scored too, because he could have been immediately tackled at the 2.
Yeah.
But Jordan Addison was the man there. Like, he was the guy. And the other guy that was going to come open, and I think he was in single coverage, and he was basically, it looked like in a mirror route to Osborne in some ways, just a step behind him, Hawkinson. Like, the more I watch that, that's a
Yep.
bad. I'm all for Kirk taking chances, but dude, Jordan Addison is your 2. I don't care what the depth chart says.
Well, I also think it's tough because we've been sitting here for 2 or 3 years banging on the table saying, Kirk, you got to take a few more chances here and there. You got to thread a needle. You got to have a little more Brett Favre in you, right?
Yep.
When you do that, there's going to be a certain number of mistakes that you have to live with to tap into the upside of the Jefferson one-handed catch against Buffalo.
Very fair. Yes.
So does that aggressive thread the needle throw? It wound up being kind of a back shoulder throw to KJ Osborne. I thought it was a kind of a reckless decision in the moment because you can beat that team without having to thread a needle. Wasn't it first down too? Like, that wasn't like a game's on the line, you got to thread a needle situation here. That's
a good question.
Just run your offense and you'll probably score a touchdown or even kick a field goal and you can win this game. But on the other hand, is that one of those mistakes that we have to just sort of live with, wanting him to be more aggressive? I'm wrestling with that right now.
2nd and 1, which is just as bad.
Yeah.
So
it felt like a little bit of an unnecessary threading of the needle. Yeah.
So to tie the CJ Ham conversation together with the pick, it's not the pass, it's the player. Jordan Addison, if I can throw a pass to Addison or Osborne, it's not a decision. Jordan's going to get the ball. And if I can throw a pass to Jefferson or Jordan, it's not a decision. If that pass had gone to Justin or even Hawkinson, who could have fought through that a little bit more, I think I'd be more forgiving. But the fact it was KJ Osborne is what I don't like.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, it's just a lot of people just look for ways to make sure Kirk is absolved. Forget about the result of the game. Forget about anything else. If Kirk can play a game and be absolved from blame, that's the main goal, oddly, of a bunch of fans. And I'll never understand that. And on the flip side, if you watch a play like that and you point out, boy, I get what he's doing here, but you had 2 defenders draped over your number 4 target, and on a 2nd and 1, it just felt like an unnecessary risk. Then you're blaming everything on Kirk, and you're a hater and all these things. It's like I don't know, man. So we'll see what happens going forward here. He's going to take some more chances, and he's probably going to make some more mistakes. But if it results in the upside of scoring more points and building bigger leads, then okay, so be it.
Yeah. And if the ball's going to 18, you know what? Ordinarily, I say, okay.
Hey, real quick before we get to a random Viking, on 18, his first half was incredible. His second half, he caught like 2 passes.
12 yards.
You were at press conferences kind of sleuthing around. Did they take him out of the game? Did the Buccaneers go in at halftime and say Justin Jefferson's not getting the ball, or what was the deal there?
So I asked that question of Jefferson because I feel like the immediate response is bracket coverage, but they went to bracket coverage. They bracketed him, a safety rolled over. There's nothing they can do. Yeah. I feel like that's like the default response. And it's like, I don't know that's true necessarily. So I asked Jefferson, I said, did they take you out of the game? What happened there? And he said, no. He basically said, and this didn't get a lot of play, but I found it to be a very, very fair but interesting quote. He said, one, they did not take me out. Like I was available to play. I was available to get more than 2 passes for 12 yards after catching 138 yards worth of passes in the first half. But the quote that I found within that to be really intriguing was he basically said, and he's right, it takes a lot of guys to do their job for me to get the football.
Wow.
But I mean that's a pretty damn good, insightful. He's right. Like what he's saying
that's a great little sideways shot at whoever he wants it to be.
Yeah, it's not like right? Kirk. Yeah, because he's not attacking Kirk there. He's saying it takes a lot of guys to do their job for me to get the football, which I think is an indictment of the offensive line partially. Although, to your point about the stats, at the end of the day, Kirk had pressure, but it was not this unbelievable, oh my God, they were last in the league. But I'm the great part about that quote, that goes all the way up the flagpole to the guy calling the plays.
Yeah. And you know what? So we did that film breakdown with Booney on the Winfield, the biggest play of the game in terms of just like a point swing and a situational swing on the win probability charts was the Antoine Winfield strip sack. And then Boone and Cyril's took a look at it after we were done doing our show, and they came to even a slightly different conclusion that still put the blame on Cousins. So the first, like when we sat down with Booney, he said, hey, this is a 5-0, so it's hat on hat for offensive line, and there are 2 free running blitzers. Ham picks up the one in the middle, the linebacker, and then the other one, Winfield, is running free. And it's on you as a quarterback to know that, throw hot, or get rid of the ball, dirt it, whatever. It can't be a strip sack. What actually should have happened, if you look at the whole like wide, big picture formation on that play, you had 3 receivers bunched to the left. You had 2 defensive backs over 3 receivers, and there was a safety like 35 yards down the field, not in the picture. So you have effectively 2 defensive backs covering 3 receivers on the left side. That linebacker that wound up engaging for a second and then dropping back, he has to bail back. If he doesn't bail back, no, there's a wide open receiver and it would just be an easy hot route or just like a 20-yard gain, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're Kirk, you know that linebacker, this isn't from me. This is from like Alex Boone, like professional Jeremiah Searles. You know that linebacker, especially he's the 3rd oldest quarterback in the NFL, 35 years old. You know that guy has to bail. And if he doesn't bail, you've got a wide open receiver on the left side. And he was looking at the left side. So the linebacker bails. If you know that that's going to happen, you should be sliding your protection, especially with a backup center, before the ball is snapped. You should say, hey, backup center guy, Schlotman, I got your back here. Right. That linebacker, based on what's happening on the left here with numbers, that linebacker is for sure bailing into coverage. Therefore, we are sliding protection right. Mm-hmm. And if they slide protection right, it's probably a 25-yard gain to a one-on-one Justin Jefferson up the right side. Mm-hmm. But like that play looks like an offensive line failure because he gets strip sacked, right? Right. So these are things to watch going forward, especially against Philadelphia tonight. I know we should probably just shut up and post this episode, but
it's front side pressure.
So yeah, however it happens, so like if it's happening, you should be able to.
That's great. That's a great breakdown.
So
I had more than one person contact me or come up to me yesterday and say Detective Zolgad at that Jefferson press conference and said, I didn't know Jefferson took over the Chris Thomason role in the Vikings beat.
Oh, the Judd?
The tough questions.
The Judd did? Okay.
Mm-hmm. More than one person asked, I didn't know Judd was now the new Chris Thomason.
Yeah, I think I'm a little more tactful at times than Chris was, but I did I think it's because I also asked Justin, I said, if the Vikings come to you about a contract extension, would you be open to it? And he said, that's up to the team, and sort of shut me down. So somebody else asked a question, and then I said, I'll try this again. I said, if they come up to you because some guys don't like to negotiate in season, would you? And he didn't really answer it. I think he would.
Just like, I actually have a contract here in my hands. Would you like to take a look at it?
I'd like to offer you this ridiculously expensive contract. But, I mean, he's a good kid at least.
Oh, Justin Jefferson.
It's a good kid.
Until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Puts up with, I wouldn't say puts up with, but like, I think Mike Florio kind of nailed it in his article. He's willing to go with the flow more than a lot of guys at his position historically for how great he is.
God, yes. Yeah, you think about that?
The end of the Zimmer era, just some of the contract stuff here. It's refreshing to have a guy that's that good at that position not be a pain in the ass.
I mean, he didn't get a contract done, and he did not miss, as far as I recall, a minute of training camp.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
And he hasn't, pissed and moaned. No, he is for his position, and knock on wood, because there was a time where I thought Stephon Diggs was pretty above board as well, and that is now long, long gone.
Yeah.
But knock on wood, for a superstar receiver to be this sort of on board and seemingly a good kid, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
It's really, really nice.
And if you want right now, if you're a Justin Jefferson fan, you can go to scorenorth.com/shop, the collectibles section. The most popular item that has sold in this store, courtesy of our friends at Universal Sports Auctions, is the one-handed. It's a framed, signed photo of Justin Jefferson reaching up and making that catch. And you can find it for your man cave. There's a Jordan Addison signed jersey right now, too. Man cave, office, maybe a background for your podcast setup, whatever it is.
I was going to say.
Scorenorth.com/shop. Click on collectibles.
Interesting.
10% off at checkout with the promo code SCORE. That's SKOR. We're trying to get Declan some stuff behind him for the YouTube channel. It's got a plain wall back
I
there.
tried to convince my loving fiance, the decorator, and the handyman woman in our house. I don't handle tasks of these in my house. I'm not good at them. I have
You can't hang a picture?
I'm not good at that. I can't
I
hang a
hung
picture.
these, Declan, and I'm incompetent.
I am
What do you mean
incompetent.
you don't know how to
level.
hang a picture? That's
I did this, dude.
I
it's not
have
great,
I have
but
no shame. I have no shame in admitting it. She is the man of our house, if you will. It's
I can't
completely
fix
fine with
anything
me.
either, so
But you can hang a picture.
I can come over
I
and
can.
hang a picture.
I don't know. I did it in my first apartment
watch
that I
out
was
for
in
the
for
plumbing.
6 years, but
Just watch out for your sewage line.
That is
Yeah.
true. This is me saying, you guys don't know how to hang pictures. I literally drove a nail through a septic pipe, and
yeah.
Although
That's-
that was not
that was
your fault.
actually the most expensive mistake. We talked about expensive
Yeah, I was
mistakes
gonna
on
say, I was
Ricey
surprised you
Unchained.
didn't
That
say
was
that.
the most expensive mistake I've ever
I
made.
still don't think that was your fault, though. I don't think that there should be a line like that should not be there. That should not have been in the wall. In my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know, probably could have fought that more aggressively, but I like to avoid conflict.
What was the final
bill? About $5,000. Because it was my fault ultimately, and we thought, God, we have like 10 months left on the lease. Do we fight this? And now we're in a war with our landlord.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Anyhow, hey, Underdog Fantasy is back.
No war there.
You can have fun watching, even more fun than usual, watching football. It's great.
Well, if you're buying some Kirk stock and you want a big win in Philadelphia, who, by the way, Kirk has great numbers in his career against the Eagles, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? At Underdog Fantasy, you can take the higher of passing touchdowns for Kirk Cousins tonight, 1.5. Can Kirk get 2 passing touchdowns on Thursday Night Football? Parlay that with something else. Maybe it's Jalen Hurts passing yards, rushing yards, whatever it may be. You can do this at Underdog Fantasy. Promo code SCORE. SKOR gets you a $100 match, up to a $100 match in your first deposit, plus a free mystery pick'em item as well. So you get basically a free item of a parlay when you do sign up with our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Links in the YouTube comment section. Go to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code SCORE.
Awesome. And then one more shout out before we get to a random Viking of the week. Thanks to Summit Orthopedics for the partnership here on Purple Daily. So if you're dealing with any type of pain, maybe you've got ankle pain and you can't play tonight, or you had lower back pain until you got a new contract, whatever it is, whatever pain you're dealing with, you can go to Summit Orthopedics. No referrals are needed. They offer same-day appointments and also walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week starting at 8 a.m. 25 locations in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota. Learn more at summitortho.com. That's summitortho.com. All right, it's time for a random Viking of the week. We've had a lot of controversy lately here. A lot of bang decisions. The last 2 weeks have been sort of mired by the Hank Baskett and Mo Williams controversies. We instituted a buzzword, and then we took it away.
Now it's gone.
We're just kind of back to shout the name out, and if there's controversy, we'll figure it out.
I'm not going to fight this, but I had multiple people did send me audio of our controversy, Phil, from last week and said, you actually did say me first. I didn't really buy it.
Yeah, I did say me first.
They were saying I did. They said I had it.
You said Mo first.
I'm just letting you know.
If you'd like to present this, I'm good.
I think
I'm taking the L. I'm not gonna go back and change it. I'm like someone else. I'm just gonna let this be a loss for me.
It's fine
with me.
I didn't change it.
Well, you won. No, but you won the controversial one.
Mm-hmm.
Judd tried to change it.
I tried to change it.
I agree.
Judd tried to overturn it.
I think those people heard you say Mo, not me, because you definitely said Mo first. And Phil said me.
Some people said I started to say Mo before Declan did, but then realized that me was the buzz.
Oh, that's possible. Actually, now that I
Regardless,
think
there was
about
a lot of controversy, even siding with Declan last week, but I'm taking
I thought the
L.
Hank
It's fine.
Basket one was way more controversial. I thought Phil actually, I thought you balked and Phil didn't, and so I thought Phil won fair and square. It was just controversial because of our rule. But I mean, Phil clearly stepped off the rubber and threw to first. You deceived the runner.
You like pump faked and then stepped
picked
off the
him up.
rubber
You
and then
picked him
threw
up,
it.
but it wasn't fair.
I did the fake third to first, which you also can't do anymore in Major League Baseball.
Oh, did we got rid of that finally?
Yeah, you can't do
It was
that.
stupid.
Can't do
Yeah,
that
it
anymore.
was the stupidest.
Super
It
weird.
never worked. I never saw it work.
Only worked in Little League. All right, random Viking of the week.
So, okay, Declan
to
has
go?
a series of clues. To this point in the new era, Judd and I have 5 wins apiece. Declan has 3 wins. All time, Judd has 57 wins, which leads all of us by a mile. The last handful of random Vikings are Mo Williams, Hank Basket, Bubby Brister, Lito Shepard, Asher Allen, and Jim McMahon. So we get up to 3 incorrect guesses.
Lido.
If you get to 3, you're eliminated. The other person wins by default. So here we go.
All right. This random Viking of the week, first clue here, played in 142 NFL games.
It's a nice little chunk of games.
However, only 86 of them were starts.
Okay.
This random Viking of the week is a little newer to the Instagram phase. He only has 800 followers. He made a profile this year. I just checked this. He hasn't posted since May, so he might have paused his gram game to a degree. But only 800 followers on Instagram.
So this is a guy who quits easily. Okay, keep going.
It's hilarious. I'm going to control F because I do have a potential guess here. I just want to see if we've done this one. Okay. Just curious.
This random Viking of the week did play in the CFL.
That's not that guy.
I was gonna say I don't think it's not our friend. What was his name? Manny Arsenault, who's back in the CFL now. I think
He's back now?
I think he went back to.
Wasn't he the guy that was like tweeting about he got mad
With
at like, a
toilet
gal
paper.
he was dating stealing toilet paper?
Yeah, she stole toilet paper. He got really upset and then tweeted all about it and basically said, "Don't use my." I think he insinuated he didn't like his female companionship to use the bathroom. I think that was what it was. Very, very odd.
He's still on the search for a woman that doesn't go number 2.
Yeah. Yes. It's going to be quite a search. That's a whole nother topic. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
According to this random Viking of the Week's LinkedIn profile, he works for the Kane is Able Incorporated. I currently supervise, this is in his job description, I currently supervise 42 and 100 full-time and temporary associates. I evaluate, hire, and then train lift truck operators, production leads, and packaging techs. He's had this job since 2009, since retiring from the NFL.
– 2009. So did he retire after the 2009 season?
Well, he started working for them in 2009.
Okay.
He did not retire in 2009 or 8.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Very nice of you to share that.
Later on, I'm going to read he has specifically in his LinkedIn profile picture his time with the Vikings in his LinkedIn and a great description that's only with the Vikings because he did play for 3 NFL teams in his career. 3 NFL teams.
Okay.
I don't think we've used this guy. I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
I don't know if he played in the CFL, but the starts and the games sort of add up a little bit. Is it former left tackle Charlie Johnson?
Charlie Johnson. Official
guess. It's incorrect, but it's a great guess.
Wrong.
Okay.
Gotta get Declan a button run out there.
Okay.
That might be the next move. Forget the wall space.
All right. Okay, keep going.
This random Viking of the week had 11 fumble recoveries in his career. Sorry, I got lawnmowers going on outside too, if you hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I don't do in my house.
You don't mow your lawn?
The people do it.
Oh, okay.
But I will shovel my own driveway because I'm weird.
But you don't make your gal mow the lawn. Okay, that's fine.
If I bought a house, she will mow the lawn. I will not mow the lawn. But she will go to each neighbor and tell them
pictures or mow the lawn.
I will
Why wouldn't you mow the lawn?
Nope, I never mow the lawn. And I pulled the Nate Bargatze rule. I'm going to make her tell every neighbor that she's doing this willingly because then it makes me look better.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
I shovel the snow. I unload the dishwasher. I take care of the dog. I pick up his poop all over the place.
Okay. Just want to make sure there's an
Not
even
mowing
split
the lawn
of chores
sounds
around
entitled, though. It doesn't take any talent to mow.
It's also
the lawn.
kind of fun. I love and I
Like,
don't
I
have a
told
lawn that I
Dawn-
mow now, but put the headphones on, go get a little workout.
Yeah, no.
Dawn would kick my ass if I said you mow the lawn.
She's fine with it because she hates shoveling snow, and I have this weird obsession with shoveling snow. So
well, guess what? I shovel too, and I'm a 53-year-old male. Like I'm a walking death sentence when I'm shoveling, and Dawn doesn't mind that.
Back to the random Viking of the week. This random Viking of the week
Fumble
was
recoveries.
was a first-round draft pick.
Oh, jeez.
Over in said draft, he was drafted over said players such as Ray Lewis, Marvin Harrison. Were a couple of names. We mentioned Mike Allstott. He was drafted over Mike Allstott in this draft.
I got a feeling he wasn't drafted by the Vikings.
He played in 5 playoff games in his NFL career, all with the Vikings.
Okay, I've guessed this guy before. I think I'm just gonna control F here, unsuccessfully. Derek Alexander.
So
He didn't play in the CFL. This is
guesses.
The CFL is what's throwing me for a loop.
I know, me too.
He finished his career with the CFL, if that does help at all.
And he was a first-round pick. Was he a first-round pick by the Vikings?
Yes.
Oh.
This official guess? Official guess?
Shoot, 86 starts though. That's not this guy. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna take a guess here. Dwayne Clemens.
Ding, 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 ding. Dwayne Clemens.
Dwayne Clemens, man.
Because we used Rudd, and he was a first-round pick.
Yep. I was trying to think. My knowledge of like where guys were drafted in the 90s is not up to par with Judd.
I didn't realize he went to the CFL.
So I'm going to read you his little brief write-up of his time with the Vikings on his LinkedIn profile, which is the only write-up he gave of the 3 teams he played for, which were the Vikings, Chiefs, and Bengals.
Okay.
From April 96 to February 2000, he played with the Vikings, LLC. Quote, I was a starter on one of the 4 greatest teams in NFL history, lining up with great players like John Randall, Chris Dolman, Warren Moon, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Randall Cunningham, Jerry Ball, Randall McDaniel, etc. Taught me how to stand shoulder to shoulder with the best against the best to be the best. The one loss we had that year taught me pride, ego, and complacency makes perfection too heavy to carry.
Wow. That's okay. Let's go. Dwayne Clemens.
He was a smart guy. Cal, right? He played at Cal.
And then got his in 2013 he got his BS in business management from Nazarene University.
Yeah, I did a profile on him for Viking Update when he got drafted, and he was a smart kid. I don't recall him being that good a player, but he was a smart kid.
Dwayne Clemens, man. All right, so Judd, first victory in a month here on Random Viking
Since
of the
Leto,
Week.
right?
Since Leto Shepherd.
Well,
So
let's throw the asterisk. As Mike Tirico would say, the Hank Basket, that deserves an asterisk.
a ruling is a ruling, okay? Why don't you just...
Well, Mike Tirico said
forward.
that the Lions win against the Chiefs and they still won the game.
Yeah, the Chiefs aren't complaining publicly that they got screwed or whatever. Plus, the Chiefs had a right tackle that was basically lined up wrong the whole game. So they should have to forfeit the game. Anyways, tell the audience about Livia real quick here.
I would love to. You know why? Because we're talking about a win here in the battle against the bulge, in the battle of weight loss. That's me. Now, it's a couple years back, but I dropped 40 pounds. Guy on the left, guy on the right, same guy. It's both sports dad. Dropped 40 pounds thanks to a program that I'm going to tell you right now works. There's been a lot of people from our PD family who have joined us, and guess what? They have told us about their success stories too. So if you want to become the latest success story, this program, by the way, has been voted the best weight loss program in the state of Minnesota for 3 consecutive years. That's right, 3 consecutive years. And right now, if you join, Livia will give you 3 months free. That's right, 3 months for free. You're going to drop that weight. You're going to feel great. And you're just going to be getting started on a journey that I can tell you works. 855-GO-LIVEA. Livia.com, Livea.com. And if you're outside the state, don't fret. The entire program can be done virtually. So if you're in California, New York, or Florida, guess what? This program can work for you. Livia.com is where you start.
Awesome. All right, boys, there's your random Viking. There is your meat and potatoes discussion about 12, 13, and 21 personnel.
That was good. Good show.
Let's go. And we'll be, for those of you that are consuming this before the Thursday night game, we will be live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel for Vikings Vent Line right after Vikings Eagles finish up. See you.